G'day, it's Fran Davidson from psychicandenergywork.com.au, and this is part 3 of my video section for the monthly observations for March 2025. Part 3 always looks at the M.O. Now, the M.O. in numerology is what could be called the second most important number, although you could argue it's the first, because it flags how life might be about to ask us to learn and develop, observe and witness, and then harness whatever it's trying to show us for the greater good, not just for ourselves, but for everybody else. So on the website, psychicandenergywork.com.au, on my monthly observations page, the third major section is all about the M.O. There I've talked about this month's M.O.s. So every month we get 2 levels of number. The number that comes every March, for example, March is the 3rd month. So every March we see a birth number of 3. But if we combine that with the birth number of the year, we also get another level of information, which is not more important, but it can explain from another angle what's going on, especially if you also look at it through the prism of your personal numerology. So, on the website about the M.O.s for March 2025, I talk about the fact that 7 and 11-2, the 128-2, which feature in this month's chart, these numbers are often times, chapters, rhythms that help us know more again. They help us get wise. They help us link into the bigger picture in a way that practically proves very, very useful, assuming we're working with life, not rejecting it or avoiding it as a spiritual learning curve or landscape. So what I want to what I want to highlight about these 2 numbers is the fact that 7, because it is the number that speaks of mind, 7 can be a time when we know too much. 7 can therefore be arrogance. It can be too much opinion. It can even be making up your mind in a way that you're not necessarily getting the big picture, whether that's from somebody else, as in another human being, or even a pet, an animal, an energy that you're bumping into, or whether it's from life itself. 7 can be, I know so well that I'm rigid, I'm inflexible, I can't hear, I can't welcome in the, shall we say, the goodness, the value adds, the insights that want to come through to help everybody win-win. I talk about that a lot, don't I? But it's a huge part of this year and this moment in time. So what's also interesting too is that March's, as in March 2025's M.O. is a 128. Now that reduces through 11 on its way to 2. 1 plus 2 plus 8 equals 11. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Now I talk about that on the website as well, monthly observations page, psychicandenergywork.com.au. The aspect I want to talk about here is that double one can present as double adult. In other words, hello, step into yourself, step into what life's showing you right now so as to really channel you at optimal, empowered, affirmed levels in a way that really makes a difference out there, however you choose to. So 1 is very much, I know myself. But of course, that dynamic, like every other, it has 2 faces, if that's the way to say it, on a very broad level. It has a spiritual level where, you know what, I know myself, but I don't need to project myself and hog the space. I don't need to exist or express myself in a way that I squeeze others out of the room, in a way that I slam down on them for expressing themselves or being what they are, in a way that I reject or exclude for whatever reason. And we can all do that, no matter how loud and obvious, no matter how crass or subtle. So no dynamic, no being, no path is devoid of learning. This month, because of the other aspects of the numerology, and even the numerology in January and February 2025, we really are being helped this year to come into a level of knowing about spirituality, and therefore about ourselves as spiritual beings, or the beings we like to perceive ourselves as being. This year is about helping us really see and sense and harness the extras that want to come our way, as a channeled state, as an exemplary state, as a shared state, and also as a manifesting and as attracting state. Double one, which again presents subtly through this month's specific MO. Double one can be very much, it flags self. Therefore, double one as an egoic frequency, which we can all channel regularly. Double one can be excessive self-concern, whether that be in a very loud, known way, in other words, I'm aware of what I'm doing, or whether it be in a very unconscious way. Often what presents is not fully conscious when it comes across negatively or is imbalanced. If we're really conscious about what we're doing, we often don't do it. It takes a very special person to know that it's doing the wrong thing and do it anyway. And that doesn't mean we can't, but it's like, that is reality. So often it is only at that point that we've really integrated with the lesson completely that we choose to stop channeling whatever egoic vibe or dynamic that we're offering. What am I trying to get to? Again, every month brings us 7 as the MO generically. This month it's a 25-7. Right? So 5 is very much flexibility. 5 is tolerance. And within that, of course, therefore, is a willingness and even the ability, not even just the willingness, the very fact that we sense there is room to be open to newness, however it presents to us. Not necessarily because we accept it, but at least we look at it if it wants to speak. At least we consider it, even if we reject it for whatever reason, in a balanced way, hopefully. So 7 can be, I know too much. 7 can be argumentative. 7 can be, I know everything, you can't tell me a thing. 7 is, my opinion counts more than you. 7 is in imbalance. 7 can be very much a place where people label each other. We've had a brilliant example of that in global politics just the other day, of how labels and descriptors and voice can be used to really berate, undermine, humiliate others, all in the name of getting what I want. And so this is where I'm coming again to the MO specifically for this month, 1282, because 2 can be read as positioning, how I choose to position with myself, with life, with the universe, and with others. 2 can be seen as social skills. It can be seen as the ability to share space. Now, egoic self is never confident about the fact that there is more than enough space to share. Egoic self, on all sorts of levels, can be very concerned for the fact that it may not get the slice of the pie that it thinks it's entitled to now, in the past, or in the future. Connected self, in other words, self that is connected with universal energies, with divine intelligence, it knows there's more than enough. And so even though it has ambitions, needs, perspectives, it's willing to share, it's able to share, it can dance well with others because it knows that it's not going to lose out. In fact, if it actually shares well, likelihood is it's going to keep and attain whatever comes its way long term, whereas, of course, egoic gains are usually shorter term, as in they might work right now as strategies, but sooner or later they'll catch up with us. So what am I trying to get to here? Don't be surprised if this month, especially given the birth numbers, so go back to part 2 video and also part 2 section on the website, because this month is so much about communicating, sharing, working on a spiritual level to manifest, to understand and to manifest. Don't be surprised if this month asks you to know what you know in a way that helps you make a difference, influence, encourage others to step into a similar platform. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that you or I, in our level of knowing, are better than others, and that too can be a 7 dynamic, kidding ourselves that we know more or we're special, we're spiritual. Yeah. Egoic self is exclusive. But you see, spiritually this month, quite likely, is going to help us all into the next level of humility, not as a what could be called losing sphere, yeah, or a devaluing, dismissive sphere, but as a place where, again, when we walk through that door together, yeah, genuinely, you bet we're helping one another ensure, as well as ourselves, that whatever gains we make, they're going to be permanent. And I'd argue that's literally what egoic self wants, even though it often forgets how to achieve that. So how can you do these things? As always, the advice is use time and space to come back to your spiritual connection. Use time and space, time out, to come back to zero, to silence, to calm, to no tension, no conflict, no gripping, yours or anybody else's. Use time and space to actually let the divine source, the universe, whatever you call the highest level of intelligence, allow that energy to be real. Move into relationship with it. In other words, allow it to be as real as you allow any other human being, even yourself, to be real. Therefore, give it the capacity, the ability, the room to speak, to guide, to heal, to influence, to effect whatever it knows is possible in a really, really good way, be it about the past, be it about the present, be it about the future, right now, for everybody, not just you. Position in a way that you allow universal intelligence to flow through to everybody in this very second, even if they're not into this stuff. Allow the divine to speak, however it does, even in ways you're not aware of and you don't need to be. Because the more you do that, the more you give the divine room to, shall we say, exist, function, express itself, and help us all, yeah, however it does, the more likely it's going to, and it will. So take good care. If you need a hand learning about these things or even examining the dynamics that are going on in your life right now, give me a call, send me a text and or an email. My contact details are on the contact page at psychicandenergywork.com.au. And if you want to develop energetically, intuitively, spiritually, give us a call as well. Take good care. Enjoy part 4 of my observations for this month at video and written level. Thanks for tuning in. Travel well.